everyone. So you're looking at a photograph out of a book by a chap called Christopher Spring called African Arms and Armour, and it's a photograph of a Salampasu masquerader with knife from southern Zaire in Africa, and I just thought I'd show it to you as a way of demonstrating how terrifying some of these masks can be, because I have just finished painting up a few more figures for the game of Congo. These are a group of witch doctors from Wargames Foundry. Serial number I think is DA062, and this gets 7 figures in the pack for the price of £12. Now I bought these figures quite a few months ago, but since I purchased them, Wargames Foundry have actually put together supplemental box collections of all the figures that you need for the 4 various factions in the game of Congo, that are additional or not included in their original army packs. So in other words, whereas the box set of African tribes that they do doesn't include a witch doctor, and the Forest Tribes one does, the Forest Tribes includes that model there. In the past, what you would have had to have done if you wanted the witch doctor for the African tribes and you were playing one side against the other, you would have had to have purchased this chap separately, but now he's obtainable in a box set of all the additional things that aren't included that you could have in your faction, in your column, that aren't included in the original box set. So it's a cheaper way of supplementing your columns, as it were. But I went down the route, because they weren't available at the time, these extra box sets, I went down the route of buying this entire group of witch doctors, most of which are additional to my needs, and one of which, this one here, I've already got the figure, there he is, in the Forest Tribe set that I bought. There is one other figure here, this one here, which is the healer in the Forest Tribes. So there are 2 figures there that I can use, but I'm not happy with what I've done, because I think these other figures, particularly this one, I'll show them all a bit closer to you in a minute, are particularly good figures. So anyway, let's show them to you a little bit in a bit more detail. Okay, first up, this is the figure that would come with the Forest Tribes box set that Wargames Foundry do. I think he's probably the best figure out of the 7. Seems to be the one with the most character. I don't know, I like the mask. So that's the one that I painted previously. So I've now got 2 of those, but it doesn't worry me, because I think it's a nice figure to paint up. And then this is another one here that I particularly like. I didn't go for a terribly elaborate design on the mask. Just painted it a simple colour and a bit of white for around the triangular eyes and the teeth, and that was it. This figure here is the one that's photographed as the healer for the African tribes, so it's another character that I can now use. His ability allows you to re-roll hits on the unit that he's joined, as long as the unit is in terrain and has been shot at, so that he can counter some of the effects of shooting, which could come in handy. this is a figure here cooking up something in a pot, cooking up a bit of medicine. This figure is the one that's portrayed as the witch doctor for the African tribes. So I could now play a game where I'm playing African tribes versus forest. What do they call African? I've forgotten. African tribes and forest tribes. That's what I'm calling them, but it's not. Let me look it up. Forest tribes, African kingdoms. Beg your pardon. Yeah. So now I could play a game with African kingdoms versus forest tribes and have a witch doctor on each side, which could be quite a good, fun game to play. He's got a snake wrapped around his arm. So I don't think the colour I painted the snake represents anything native to Africa, but I just went for it really. Put a sort of a greenish brown sort of design on it, which I thought would be a good colour for a snake in, camouflage in the jungle. Then this one I like, but I've, as you probably know, I've also been painting up a Maasai group of figures that don't feature in the rules at the moment, but I was wondering if they did, or if I were to play them as one of the extant factions such as the African kingdoms, whether I could put a witch doctor in. And this one is the one that I think is probably most Maasai-like. I don't know why I think that, maybe just because he's got some kind of lion skin on his back. But I've never actually seen any reference to the Maasai having witch doctors in their tribe, so I don't know whether that's appropriate or not, but anyway, that's probably the one I would use for my Maasai. And finally, the only female figure in the 7, which is a woman sort of blowing dust or powder into the face of her victim. So quite a simple figure, not much clothing or anything to paint, but a useful addition to my armies, I think. And that's it. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Bye for now.